Hey guys, Guitar Slam here with another deck list for you. This is going to be my first anti-meta deck, my gadget deck. It's just a pretty standard oppression gadget deck, but it's been working really well for me, and I just have a lot of fun playing it because it's something different. So the first card in the deck is 2 green gadgets, which will search out 2 red gadgets, which will search out 2 yellow gadgets, and then yellow will search green. And these guys are really the core of the deck. They thin out the deck and give you constant monsters in your hand, so that even though they're small, your opponent never really gets card advantage over you. And then we have 2 Banisher of the Radiance, 1600 attack, and when this card's face up, any card sent to the graveyard is removed from play, so it's like Macrocosmos. So he just disrupts your opponent's graveyard, and since the grave isn't important to you in this deck, it really doesn't matter to you. And then we have 3 Clocky Meru Guardian, 1900 4-star rock monster. During the end phase, you have to reveal a rock monster, or else this card will die. Reveal it from your hand. So there are 4 other monsters. If you have one of these out that you can reveal, you could reveal 2 Iron Core, Clocky Meru Guardians, or 2 legendary Jujutsu Masters, which I'll get to. But this guy can, whenever a monster effect activates, he can tribute himself to negate the monster effect and destroy the card. So he really locks down like Monarchs because their effects are mandatory. Just other cards where your opponent would want to activate the effect, but this guy would stop them. So he's very helpful. Plus, I can't get any Thunder King Ryos, so he's a good substitute if you can't get him. And then, as previously stated, we have 2 legendary Jujutsu Masters. 1800 defense, so he can stay on the field for a little while. And if this guy is attacked while he's in defense mode, the monster that attacks him is put on the top of your opponent's deck. So if he's set, your opponent attacks without knowing what he is. That's a good surprise, hurts your opponent. Plus, if he's just in face-up defense mode, your opponent isn't going to want to attack, so it stalls for a while. And the last monster is 1 Gorz, the Emissary of Darkness. Now you special summon this guy when you have no cards on the field and you take any sort of damage. Usually ends up being battle damage, but it could be burn damage. For the amount of traps you run in this deck, you'd think Gorz isn't useful, but on the contrary, he works like he's supposed to. If you're in a pinch, this guy is really helpful, so that's why you run him. So that's all of the monsters. Now we get to the spells. We have 2 Soul Taker. Destroy one monster on the field, and then your opponent gains 1,000 attack for that, or 1,000 life points. Sorry. Really good. It doesn't matter if your opponent gains 1,000 life points. It's way more important to get rid of their monster. We have 1 Smashing Ground for monster destruction, 1 Fissure for monster destruction, and 1 Lightning Vortex for monster destruction. So as you can see, you want to get rid of your opponent's options and just keep your gadgets on the field. And to further that, we have 2 Shrink, Quick Play. Cut the attack of one of the monsters on the field, their attack in half. So if your opponent attacks a gadget, you can activate this, shrink that monster's attack in half. So then hopefully your gadget survives. It usually will. And then that's battle damage to your opponent. You keep your gadget out and it gets rid of a threat. Two Enemy Controller. This card has helped me a lot in gadgets. Quick Play spell, you can change your opponent's monster to defense mode, or you contribute 1 monster you have to gain control of your opponent's monster. The defense mode is the option you usually use it for, to stop an attack or allow a gadget to attack over a monster with low defense. But on occasion, I've actually used its second effect, where you tribute a monster and then take theirs, to win games, because it's a little surprise that opponents aren't ready for. 1 Monster Reborn for 1 Monster Reborn for monster resurrection, and 1 Mystical Space Typhoon for spell and trap destruction. So that's it for the spells, and we move on to the traps. We run 3 Royal Oppressions. Pay 100 life points to negate a special summon. Your opponent can use this as well. Gadgets don't need to special summon much. You do run 1 Monster Reborn, but you can play around this card. You know, it's not always active. But just stopping special summons is really important in today's game, and since gadgets don't need them, this is a great card to run. Then 3 Bottomless Trap Hole. If a monster with 1500 or more attack is normal or special summoned, destroy that monster and then remove it from play. Really helpful in today's metagame, and plus you want to destroy your opponent's big threats, so triple Bottomless is very good in gadgets. Then we run 3 Threatening Roars. Your opponent can't attack during the turn you activate this. This is a good card to use in the current format because OTK decks are so powerful between Synchro Cat and Black Wings, and even Light Sworns in some cases. So if your opponent activates Cold Wave, if they're playing like Synchro Cat or something, just chain this, your opponent can't get their OTK out, and then you have another turn. Or you could just protect your gadgets if you were in a pinch. Two Karma Cut. This card is my substitution for Dimensional Prisons because D prisons are expensive, and this card is a common from a starter deck. But it does basically the same kind of effect, except you have to discard. You will discard 1 card from your hand to remove from play 1 monster. You can remove one of your opponent's monsters, and then any monster in the grave that has that same name is removed from play on your opponent's field, if it's in their grave, I mean. So, like D prison, you have to wait for them to attack. This card is chainable, and you can activate it whenever, but you do have a discard cost. But for the price difference, if you're on a budget deck, Karma Cut will do the job effectively, so don't worry about that part. Then we have 2 Phoenix Wing Wind Blasts. Discard 1 card to put 1 card on the field back on the top of the deck, so you can ruin your opponent's monsters. They're big monsters, you set them back a turn. They're not drawing anything new, and it can just hurt whatever threat they were trying to get at you with. We have 2 Solemn Judgments. Pay half your life points to negate almost anything your opponent tries to do. Just protects your gadgets and stops down big combos that your opponent would try. If you are successful and use this at the right time, it will win you games. If you play it stupidly, Dark Strike Fighter will really ruin you. So just be careful about using this. And last trap is 1 Torrential Tribute. Whenever a monster is summoned, you can just destroy all monsters on the field. Good card to wipe the field, and with gadgets you have more monsters in your hand, so you don't really care if you lose field presence. So that's the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's my first anti-meta deck, but it's really been fun for me. And it's pretty cheap now that the gadgets have been released in Duelist Pack Yugi. So if you've been thinking about gadgets, please go ahead and make them. You'll enjoy them, and they're pretty good, and they're just fun to play. So I hope you guys enjoyed the deck, and I'll see you later.